in standard form.
Good. Excellent. So we have two forms of linear equations. Does anybody remember what this is? This is one we're used to. Do you remember what we called it? There was a specific name for it yesterday we went through. Slope and something else. It has slope in it, and what is this called? Y-intercept. It's called slope y-intercept. That's this form. Okay? Which, by conclusion or deduction, makes this the which form? Standard form. This is the exact same equation. It's just written very differently. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an equation, and we're going to convert it back and forth. And I'm going to show you a proof using the letters here and how they relate to the letters in the standard form. So, for instance, let's say we have 3x plus 6y minus 18 equals 0. Which form am I in right now? That's right, I'm in standard form. If you notice, our a value is the 3, our b value is the positive 6, and our c value is the negative 18. What I want to do, because I need to graph this linear equation, I want to turn it into slope y-intercept, because slope y-intercept makes it easiest to graph. We'll know what the slope is, we know what the intercept is, we plot this point, and this continue our slope. From here, it doesn't give us any of those numbers by looking at it. So we have to convert it. And if you notice in slope y-intercept, what is everything set equal to? What is all this set equal to? Y. So there is a y here. And the whole point of our transformation is to set it equal to y. Okay? So we need to isolate for y. So the very first thing I'm going to do is move our negative 18 and my 3x to the other side of the equation. Okay? So this is our algebra again. That's going to leave positive 6y on the left side. And we'll have 0. What is 3x when moved to the other side? Negative 3x. We'll do this in red here. And that's right, positive 18. So let's simplify the right side. What is 0 minus 3x? Negative 3x plus 18. Good. The last step to isolating y, what do I have to move over? 6. Now, can I move it over the same way I did the other ones? Why not? What do I have to do with it, Char? Divide it, because it's multiplication. So I want you to think of it like we're dividing each term by 6. Whatever we do to one side of the equation, divided by 6, we have to do to everything on the other side. So 6 and 6 will cancel out. We technically create a 1. This is equal to negative 3 over 6x and plus 18 over 6. Can we simplify those numbers? Yeah. What will this equal? Yeah, let's leave it as a fraction, remember, because we're talking about rise over run. So negative a half x. And what does this become? 3. So in our slope y-intercept form, what is our slope? That's right. This is our m, negative 1 over 2. And what's our y-intercept?
3.
Positive 3. Exactly. This is the exact form we were working with. Okay? So we just changed standard form to slope y-intercept form. Now, I'm going to give us something very different. Okay, call this example 2. Let's say we're given y is equal to 7 over 8x plus 10. Okay? What form am I in? It's called slope y-intercept. It's literally called that because when I look at it, I can see the slope and the y-intercept. Here's our y-intercept. Here's our slope. Forget the plus here. So, with that being said, in our standard form, what do we set everything equal to? 0. I want to move everything to the other side. Okay? I want everything to move over to the other side. And in order to do this, what I would like to do is we also don't want to have any fractions, if you notice. Okay? All of these will be whole numbers. So, in order to do this, we'll start moving everything to the other side of the equation. When I move this to the other side of the equation, what does it become? Negative. And when I move 10 to the other side, it becomes negative. So I have y subtract 7 over 8x minus 10 is equal to what? 0. I've moved everything from the right side. Now let's kind of look at this. This is really tough to look at. This is a fraction, and we said we don't want any fractions. We want everything to be whole numbers. So what can I do to this fraction to make it a whole number? Multiplying will be the best thing to do. And what would I multiply by? What's the number on the bottom? 8. If I multiply this by 8, what happens to the two 8s? They cancel out. If you don't understand that concept, I'll show you on this side here, okay? Let's say we have 7 over 8, and we decide to multiply by 8. Instead of just canceling out, what is 7 times 8? 56 divided by 8. What's 56 divided by 8? 7. So instead of going through that process, we can just cancel out the 8s, and we're left with that value of 7. Okay? So in other words, I need to multiply this by 8. But can I just multiply one term by 8? What do I have to do? I have to multiply everything by 8, every term. So this needs to be multiplied by 8, multiplied by 8, multiplied by 8, and multiplied by 8. A lot of the times they show it by doing this. They write a line and say times 8. In other words, they're multiplying every term by 8. So when we do this, what is 8 times y? Negative 7 over 8x times 8. Negative 7x. The x still stays. Remember, the h just cancel out. Negative 10 times 8. And 0 times 8. And that's the trick here, is that once we have it equal to 0, we can multiply, divide this value by anything, and it'll always stay 0. So here is our standard form. Okay? Our a value. Oh, sorry, that's not our a value. What's the only difference with our standard form here? Which variable goes first? The x. Now, in our case, is the x first? No, so let's rearrange it. When I rearrange it, what will go first? Negative 7x. What will this be? Plus 8y. It's a positive, nothing's there. Minus 80 equals 0. So, what this means is x or y equals 0. Our a term is negative 7. Our b term is positive 8. And our c term is negative 80. So we've just converted to standard form. Another thing about this is, and not that it makes a large difference, but they usually don't want the a term to be negative. And in our case, it is. How can I change this entire equation using the same principle as before so that the first term is not negative anymore? Charm? What process would I do? What did I do above here? I multiplied. Can I multiply by a number to change it from a negative to a positive? What number? Nobody know? Yeah. We can multiply by negative 1, or we can divide by negative 1. All it will do is flip all of our signs. So let's say we multiply by negative 1. Okay? I'm just going to move it over here. What does negative 7x become? Yeah. What does positive 8 become? Negative 80 becomes positive, and 0 becomes still 0. So, if you notice, this is pretty much the same thing. It's just the operations in front are all the opposite. Okay? So they usually want standard form, everything a whole number, and the first term they want to be a positive term.